Wamalo was alive today, I may actually be in DAP. Because he was my great friend, teacher, and comrade. Eugene Wamala, I really want to congratulate you for assuming this high office. In my own estimation and assessment, you're one of the greatest leaders that are upcoming in the Republic of Kenya, and I think the future holds great promises for you. So long as you keep on fighting for the good of this country. What you are doing today reminds me of what happened in the party called the African National Congress in South Africa. For a long time, when Mandela was in prison, Oliver Tambo was the president of the ANC party. And when Mandela came out of prison, and the ANC wanted him immediately to become the party leader, Mandela refused, and he said he is a disciplined member of the party and he'll work under Oliver Tambo as the party leader and president of the African National Congress. But as fate would have it, when the struggle was now taking a new dimension, Oliver Tambo, although he died later, ceded leadership and authority of that party to Nelson Mandela. The same thing seems to be happening in DAP. I know that my young brother, Eugene, was not in prison, but there were good reasons. But you talk out there, people knew, just like when Mandela was in prison, that he was the patron and leader of the party. That is not to underrate the work that Wafula Wamnyinyi has done for this great party. And today, I know Wamala is going to sit as a matter of right next to Raila Amolo Odinga, next to Kalonzo Musyoka, next to Martha Karua, as the leader of a party which is not a small party, it is a big party actually in the Republic of Kenya. And my brother, I know you are going to bring a new energy to the party and to the movement, which is in a critical phase in Kenya as a whole. I also want to say that Kwame Nkrumah, who was a statesman and president of Ghana for some time, but he also a great writer and thinker and author. And he said that principles are indivisible. They are either wholly kept or wholly sacrificed. And Jefferson, I think Wamala likes quoting Jefferson, your favorite. That on matters of style, you can swim with the current. But on matters of principle, stand firm like a rock. I think DAP, by what you have done in the last few months, I am convinced that this party, that on matters of principle, you will stand and you have stood as firm as a rock. And to your members of parliament, I appreciate you because you're standing firm with the party, and I know the promises of the future will be in your hands. And already those promises are there because he who is with the people is with God. And I know you are the people. We are facing a great challenge in this country. And why I was talking about this question of principle, already you can see that President Ruto, although we don't recognize his legitimacy, although he's sitting in State House, in many ways like the Nationalist Party in South Africa, was appointing people and enthroning people like de Klerk to be president of South Africa. De jure, de facto, yes, but on the question of legitimacy, the whole of South Africa did not accept that leadership in South Africa. But I want to say, even as Ruto was saying this morning, that whatever noise we may make does not stop him from performing his duties as president. I want to challenge him that it's part of his duty to know what are the duties and functions of the President of the Republic of Kenya. If he was truly the President of the Republic of Kenya, the first thing that he would do is to defend and protect the Constitution of Kenya as by law established. The Constitution of Kenya defines Kenya in Article 2, Article 4, Sub-Article 2, that Kenya is a multi-party democratic state. That is the principle which is enunciated in the Constitution of Kenya. Today, the President is acting as if that principle was just there for cosmetics because he's killing political parties. That is the fact of the moment, that President Ruto is killing political parties. And is invading every party. I think the DAP has done better than all the parties because, you know, he has even invaded the political party called ODM, where I belong. But I want to encourage you that, and your members of parliament, I want to encourage you. It comes to moments that it does not matter how many members of parliament you have. It doesn't matter. We were in parliament when KANU was a ruling party, a one-party state, which was a de facto one-party state, and it became a de jure one-party state. But Kenyans said now the struggle is going to be taken out of parliament. The struggle is going to go to the people. And we said that we are going to use extra parliamentary means to make sure that we wipe out the one-party state. And therefore, I urge you, even as your members of parliament, that the struggle now out there is with the people. Let's go to the people. Let's reach out to the people and work with the people. And we can never be wrong. It is only one thing that we must do. We must define the tools and the weapons that we are going to use to overcome this dictatorship. And I know it can be done. If Moi, with all the cohesive powers of the state, and I remember that Moi's powers were close to that tyrant in Central African Republic who made himself an emperor, Bokassa. He lived a life of ignominy in France when he could not pay even for his electricity in his castle in France. I want to say that the leadership that is going to emerge out of the political movement as a meal, with people like Wamalwa, with like Raila Amolo Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua, with the foot soldiers, including Wamunyinyi, no tear gas is going to stop us, I can assure you. And in as much as I'm in Siaya as a governor, when it comes to fighting for change and for prosperity of this nation, we owe it to the people to join in this struggle to take our country back from these dictators. Ruto, sometimes when I remember Ruto, I think of Moi, because I think one is the child of the other and one is the father of the other. One of the things that, again, he has forgotten is the Constitution says that counties should share revenue collected on a formula which is set up in law and the Constitution. And as the party leader said, since October last year, no county has received any exchequer releases, remittances, because the country is broke. The country is broke. They have no money to send to the counties. So there's a violation on this part of the Constitution, because the Constitution says those remittances must be, they are time-bound. Na wewe ukienda huko kama mbunge unapata shilingi 1,100, unasaidia wananchi ama unaumiza wananchi? Yeah, because wananchi are not getting their fair share of what they truly deserve under the law and the Constitution. Is turning Kenya from a pathway to prosperity to a killing field, killing political parties, killing the economy, killing institutions. The institution which is very important in law enforcement and the administration of justice, the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the way it is handling prosecutions in court, withdrawing cases at will depending on who is the accused person, has broken the spirit of the Constitution, which required an independent office of prosecution to be established, and that would not be directed by anybody. This same office had decided that these gentlemen and ladies who have had their cases withdrawn had cases that should be prosecuted. And all those cases are now being withdrawn. I can tell you without fear of contradiction that if you are united and we work together, if Moi, when the opposition got together, I remember the time when Masinde Muliro, Jaramogi, Shikuku, and Gede and others got together. If you count the number of days from the day they first met to the day when Moi acceded and declared that now Kenya was going to be a multi-party state, if you count the number of days, it was not more than 2 years. And that was a very authoritarian state. So I know that if we hang on together, with the economy going downhill the way it is, and seeing how people are suffering in Kenya across the board, even on issues of security in the northern part of Kenya, I can tell you 1 year, not 2 years, 1 year, 1 year will bring the changes that we want, including change in leadership. And in Kenya, because the people are sovereign, that great document that was written by Jefferson, the Proclamation, it says sometimes rebellion is necessary. It says rebellion is necessary. Rebellion sometimes is necessary. People cannot suffer. And they begin talking about what the law is saying. Because laws are not made for themselves. Laws are made for human beings. And the Kenyan Constitution also says that people are sovereign. And all the powers that we enjoy are delegated from the people. So when the people decide, the people can effect these changes. And I think, like the party leader said, one of the things that we must resist is the institution of a new electoral commission in the form and shape that it is taking. And if they force it on us, I think it is our patriotic duty to make sure no election takes place under that electoral commission. I don't know whether we are together. If you allow another illegitimate election, that elections are going to be held according to the law of Kenya Kwanza, and Chebukati, or the, or the remnants of Chebukati in the Electoral Commission that will be participating in a legitimate election. And I think one of the things that we must focus on is that no elections without the reforming and the appointing of an electoral commission that is acceptable to all the political parties and more to the people of Kenya. Because if you have another election with this electoral commission that they're trying to establish, even before that election, we are going to have an amendment of the Constitution to make the limitation of the power of the tenure of the president to be extended beyond 10 years. It is not beyond imagination. You know, in Uganda, when they went through the constitution-making process, they agreed on the principle of limitation of tenure for the office of the president. But somewhere down the line, they changed it. And Gaddafi had everything to say about making those changes, because Gaddafi said revolutionaries never retire. But democracy requires that those who are sent to power and wield executive power, those powers must be limited. So I join you, and I join the party leader, because I heard it from you, that we cannot have an election under an electoral commission which is constituted unilaterally by Kenya Kwanza. I think Kenya Kwanza is a great student of Stalin. Stalin said, in an election, those who matter are those who count the votes, not those who vote.
That's what they did.
Yeah. Those who matter are not the voters. They are those who count the vote. And Ruto also has followed Stalin and said those who matter are not the voters. Because he had Chebukati, and he won the election not because of the voters, but because of Chebukati. Now he wants an insurance policy to have not one Chebukati, but 7 Chebukatis. So if you allow 7 Chebukatis to run the electoral commission, however much you vote, however much we dance, Scooty, or however much you say, inawezekana, haitawezekana. So the first line of resistance is to make sure, and we make it plain and clear to our people, no election without a proper electoral commission. And I join Wamunyinyi. You know, Wamunyinyi, I think now you got the best position. When you used to be in Bunge AFC, Wamunyinyi was the defender, the last man. And Wamunyinyi, when you are going to play football, when we were in Dodoma, he said we must eat in the morning. Omorele. No, obusuma. Na ile kitu ingine. Anaenda kuwaonya kama macho ni kali. Na pia ameshiba. Watanzania walipata tabu sana. Anajua Watanzania wanapenda mpira ya kucheza. Lakini ukifika kwa Munyinyi, that's the end of mchezo huyo. So I know with Wamunyinyi now on the defense line, and you're not just a defender for DAP, you're a defender for the entire movement. So I am honored and privileged to have been given this invitation, and particularly when it was on behalf of Raila Amolo Odinga, and I know that DAP is not going to be part of the menu, but is going to sit on the table to design that menu and how we move forward. I thank you, and God bless you. DAP! DAP! Asante sana.